a really warm welcome to this a brand new episode of the Money, Mindset and Miracles podcast, where I'm helping you to grow a predictable and scalable month of high income in your business as gracefully as possible. I'm Rachel Smith, the business grower, business coach and mindset expert, and the founder of the Momentum Mastermind, your 90-day sprint to scaling your business to 5K and beyond. Join me every week as I share the tips, inspirational stories, interviews, and strategies that will support you on your journey of scaling your amazing business. And today we're going to be talking about one of the most amazing platforms that you can use in your business to generate passive income streams, whether you have a creative business like my guest Helen, or you are an online coach, expert, or course creator. There is a place for everybody on this platform, and Helen has definitely made this her home as well. So before we get into today's interview, let me just put into context why I have invited Helen Dryer to come and join us today. Helen is a professional even jewellery designer and tutor based near York. She has over 20 years experience in the trade and specialises, and I think you can see, in beautiful handmade jewellery. She offers a variety of jewellery making and creative one-to-one classes and workshops to teach jewellery design. She's definitely very passionate about this. And she really supports with people of all ages in that. Her classes are really popular, and she has a passion for teaching silver clay and jewellery inspired by her local nature reserve, Skipwith Common. So if you're local, as I am, to Helen, you'll know exactly where that is. If not, it's just beautiful. Helen also has a super successful online shop where she sells her own range of jewellery. So Helen, welcome to the podcast. I'm delighted that you're here today.
Hi, Rachel. Thank you very much for inviting me.
I just love your story and I love your passion as well. We were just having a chat before we actually went live, and I'm always really inspired when I've listened to you. Now, Helen, obviously you have come from a place of turning your hobby and your passion around making jewellery into a highly profitable business. So I would love for you to just kick off today's episode by sharing a little bit about your story, about how you did turn that hobby into a highly profitable business, and also for you to touch on, one of the key strategies that you brought into your business when you couldn't run your online classes in 2020 and 2021 thanks to, COVID. So I would love for you to share that story with my audience.
Fabulous. So back in 2010, 2011, I started a hobby really just for something for me. I'd packed my daughter off to bed. My husband was working away. And on an evening, I wanted something to do other than stare at the TV or do the dishes. So I've always been very creative and I love fiddling with things and started making jewellery. And first off, started doing beading, and then I wanted to do some silver work. And the first thing I did was I learnt to make rings, things like that. And then I saw a lady at a craft fair that I was at and just said I just loved her pendant. And I accosted the poor woman and said, "How did you do that?" She told me. And that's where my silver clay journey started. The poor woman is probably still in shock, but there you go. And I did a couple of courses and decided I would start a business. And particularly as I got a young daughter at the time, I went into things like fingerprint and foot and handprint, doing things like that, keepsake jewellery. And so it became more of a way to give me an income that wasn't the normal family income. It was something specifically for me. And I started at my kitchen table. Then I went into a spare bedroom. Then I went into another spare bedroom, at which point my husband said, "Excuse me, can we have the house back?" And so we converted an outbuilding and set that up as my studio. And from there, I was lucky enough to have, I actually got a call from Amazon, of all people. You don't associate Amazon with doing training courses, but they asked me if I could run a teaching course for people to make jewellery. And I said, yes. They had a price point they wanted. They had numbers they wanted, that amount of time they wanted. They knew exactly what they wanted. I delivered it. And that's how I got into the training. And it was a bit of a baptism of fire. They had they had something called Amazon Local. I don't know if anybody remembers it, but it was like Groupon, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So it was, woo. So that was my baptism of fire into doing the teaching side, but it got me a mailing list. It got me really good practice in being under pressure and turning people around and managing people and the teaching. But I also had that opportunity to sell my jewellery as well. And at the time, I still find this quite amazing, but at the time I was quite shy and I didn't want to go out and sell my jewellery. I felt really uncomfortable about that. So rather than putting my name, Helen Drye Jewellery, or anything like that, I did silver and stone jewellery design, which is what my business is called. And I started selling online. So rather than the in-person side, which is what most people start with, I started online and started my Etsy shop in 2011.
Wow.
So those were the two bases of my business. And within a couple of years, I realised even my converted outbuilding was too small for me to host classes and have on display all the jewellery that I had, because people, when they come to classes, also like to buy jewellery. So from then, probably about 10 years ago, I got premises. And so very quickly got premises, could do bigger workshops. And actually that was the start of this whole studio and what I do now. So without doing the kitchen table and moving around the house and testing it in a safe way, I wouldn't be here today.
And it's really interesting that you should share that, Helen, because I think there's so much noise online about do this and get here, get to this point in your business really quickly. And actually, it's not like that. It is a journey because we're evolving, aren't we? Like you had to figure out who you were in the jewellery business. And you had these opportunities that you had the confidence to say yes to. And you discovered that actually the things that are really in alignment for you are the teaching, that kind of teaching and bringing jewellery making to other people, which was not where you started when you started making your own jewellery. So I love that actually you've just shared that even though your path took a different path to perhaps where you thought you were originally going to start from, that by listening to yourself and saying yes to the right opportunities, you've actually arrived to the point where you are today. And you have this like thriving, highly profitable jewellery business, both in your own jewellery designs and the classes that you run. But the thing that we haven't touched on is that actually you're also an online course creator, which is like another part of your business, which is where you are teaching other people to set up really highly successful jewellery businesses just like yours as well. So you're bringing all of that kind of experience into your business and helping other people to to say yes to opportunities and to help them grow their business, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and it's also one of the things that I found was because I have lots of people that I teach in the studio and online, and the biggest thing is working out what's best for them. So for me, particularly in the early stages, I didn't want to go to lots of craft fairs.
Yeah.
I had a young daughter. My husband worked away. I only saw him at weekends. So if I keep toddling off doing
Really
craft,
got to
I
tricks,
might not
yeah.
even see him.
Yeah, exactly.
So for me, that was the right business model for me. But other people, it's not necessarily the same business model. So it's working out what's right for that individual,
Yeah.
not a one size fits all. And I think sometimes you see this is the way you do it, you follow X, Y, and Z, and that's fine. But not everybody's the same, and not everybody fits into one model.
No, that's absolutely right. So obviously a big part of your business is the like in-person workshops. 2020 came along. We could no longer run those in-person events that we all love. So what happened in your business then? Did you close up? Did you stop delivering? Did you wait until the pandemic was over?
No, I didn't stop. Well, I would say for the first few weeks, I rocked in a corner, tucked to my bed,
Didn't we
hid under the
all?
duvet. I went, what's happening?
Yeah.
So I did that. I think I might have allowed myself 2 weeks of self-pity. Closed my studio, but I didn't really close my studio. I could work at home at that point. And so I could sell online. I
Yeah.
could sell my jewellery online because I'd already got that platform, both in my website and in Etsy. And then I decided with a friend, we'd been talking about going online for years. And we'd put something out there, but we'd never really taken it that seriously. And we got together and went, right, are we going to do this? If we're going to do it, let's do it. And it forced us to, I suppose, put our money where our mouths were. And we went online. We sold a course that we were really, really familiar with. We'd done this for years in the studio. And we created a learning platform, and we ran it. We did it.
Yeah.
And it's a 9-month program, or it's 18 modules of silver clay certification. And we did each module, we were like 2 modules in front doing the filming and the recording and the notes. To be fair, a lot of the notes we already had because we had done this so many times. So we were really confident we could deliver it. We didn't have a problem with that. We knew we could deliver it. So yeah, we went out and we did it. And it was very scary. But luckily both our skill sets suited doing this online. My partner Julie is a former IT trainer, so she was really familiar with learning through video, etc., and she's very good at it. I'm, shall we say, more organic in my approach.
But the two coming together was a perfect match.
Yeah, we've got very different styles, and actually it works really well. So as a learner, you get to see different ways of working, and also know there isn't just one way to do it.
And I love that. I love that how you have a product-based business, but you have been able to turn it into like something else as well. So you've still got your products, you've still got all of the workshops and the Etsy store and all of those things, but you are now really stepping into being a leader and saying, look, I can help you with this. And you've created all of that into online courses, which is just phenomenal.
Absolutely. And I would say I might have done a little bit without COVID, but I wouldn't have gone as far as I have done without that impetus, because I'm not the sort of person just to sit around and do nothing. And on the other side of that, the jewellery did really, really well as well.
Yeah, because your Etsy store suddenly just started to flourish, didn't it?
Absolutely. It was steady away before that. It was, a little bit of a bread and butter thing. It kept the orders came in. But people wanted to buy from independents. They wanted to put their business into their money into small businesses. And Etsy is a really good route for that. So my sales increased quite exponentially. It was great. And particularly up to that Christmas of 2020, the sales just increased, and it was fabulous. It really, really was. So that felt like very much a godsend, because it meant that my overheads for this place were paid for.
Yeah.
And the risk that I took of going online, it was less of a risk.
Yeah.
There were overheads for that, but it wasn't a risk in the same way. So knowing that my overheads were covered was really, really good.
It kind of gives you the confidence that you can keep showing up in your business, you can diversify into online courses or anything else that comes up. And like, we're going to get into talking about Etsy on this episode. And I just wanted to say that, like, even though you're like, oh yeah, my store started to see all these brilliant sales and it's done really well. That's amazing. That's brilliant. But I think there's often the assumption from people when they haven't looked at Etsy before, or if they're looking at another platform which is similar for online courses, which is Udemy, is that you're led to believe that it's really easy to kind of get on there and make money. And it isn't necessary. And that's what we're going to get into today. And I just wanted to kind of, like, I said to you at the beginning of this episode, I've actually done some research about Etsy, because I know that for people that have got a product-based business, it seems really sensible to have an Etsy store. But actually, for people like me who are coaches or online experts or course creators, there's a massive sector on Etsy for printables. So I had a look, and apparently the revenue from the past 12 months from Etsy is reported to be $2.628 billion. And they're seeing an 11% increase year on year. So it wasn't just there was probably a hike during 2020, 21. But even so, since then, they're seeing this kind of growth of 11% every year, which is amazing. And the number one kind of item that sells, no surprise, is gifts, in particular jewellery. So for your people listening to this, brilliant, amazing, get on Etsy, definitely. But the another product area that actually sells really well is printables. And that's something for somebody who's like me, who's creating workbooks and content and mindset kind of tools. It's an amazing platform for businesses like that. And in the UK, they've got just short of 1 million active sellers on Etsy. So lots of space for people to come along and actually generate, profit and growth from their own business. And it's not just about selling on Etsy. That increases your visibility, increases your authority in the world, and you're going to attract in people who haven't necessarily found you on Instagram or Facebook. It's like this brand new way that you can actually get seen and heard. But from your experience, what I'd love to kind of unpick to really help people who have either looked at Etsy and not made it work for them, or who are listening to this thinking, oh, right, I need to have a look at an Etsy and see how it could actually help me, is what are the kind of 3 biggest mistakes that you see people making when they set up an Etsy store? What can they do to kind of get over that and make sure that their Etsy store is highly profitable?
Yeah, so the first thing that I think people do is they'll go in, set an up account, start putting products in there and think, right, that's great. We've put some products in, maybe you put 5, 10 products in there, and they just wait for things to happen. And if you were to build a shop and put things in and just wait for things to happen, nothing would happen really. So you actually need to be really active in there. So the first thing is tell everybody, anybody and everybody, put links to your shop on social media, you can usually link your Etsy shop as a shop to your business page and your social media. And that's a really easy thing to do. If you're on Insta, you can, you'll have your kind of, what's it called?
In
bio.
stories, you can put some links in, can't you?
Yeah, and put in your bio as well.
Yes,
Put your links
of
to your
course,
shop in the bio. You can link products. You can focus on your product of the week. You can just tell anybody and everybody and give them the link to your store. It's really easy for people to find that, click the link, get in, ask them to favorite your shop. Loads of stuff actually, but just you've got to meet them halfway and tell people. You can't just sit there and expect it all to come to you. So yeah, promoting your shop, but also the other thing is a lot of people will have put those 5 or 10 items on and then do nothing.
Right.
And actually, you need to tell the algorithm that you're active.
Okay.
So keep adding things to it, keep increasing or making things in terms of the stock. So you may just do
a bit like
one
Google
item.
then. So in that sense, Helen, is that Google likes us to put fresh content
Yeah.
on our website all the time. That's how it keeps you ranking quite high. So does it work on a similar basis in Etsy that you need to keep? Right. Okay, that's brilliant.
Yeah. It's basically if you're giving your shop, the attention, if you're polishing your products, you're refining them, you're checking and seeing what the people are searching for, and it's quite easy for you to see. It allows you to see what people have searched for to see your products. You can check your tags, you can see who's clicking and how many people are visiting your shop. Have a look at all of those things like you would with your own website.
Yeah.
They need to know, the algorithm needs to know that you are active, that you're interested in selling. If you're not doing anything, they don't think you're interested in selling. So, keep going in there. I go in mine quite regularly. I'll do a bit of tweaking. I'll check some analytics and I'll see what the insights are. And actually, you talked about it being an opportunity for things like downloads. You do get, I get repeat customers.
Yeah.
I just got an order in today and it tells me this is a repeat customer. So I might want to reward that repeat customer with a special thank you, or a discount code or something like that. But yeah, you start to build a relationship. I know I recognise there's a certain address up in Scotland, and I think, gosh, that's going a long way. And every time I get that order from somebody in Scotland, I think, gosh, that's going a long way. So, if you were talking about downloads, it's like a funnel. You're building a relationship with somebody. It's that introduction. So yeah, the first thing is actually keep the shop active.
Yeah.
Show the algorithm that you mean business.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just pop stuff on there and wait for it to happen.
Yeah, it's just like when people have a lovely website and then stand back and they wait for everybody to land on the website and buy whatever it is. So it's I think that's a gem, is that, Helen?
Yeah. Yeah. So the other thing that I would say is it's really about standing out from the crowd. So you said, there's a million. Did you say there was a million?
Just short of a million active. Active is the word. Active sellers.
Yeah, that's important. That active, and a lot of those are jewellery makers. So from my perspective, I have to think about why would somebody buy from me and not another one? If somebody were to search heart stud earrings, you would get pages of heart stud earrings. I actually have heart stud earrings and they sell really well and nice and steady sales and always have done. So I'm like, I'm keeping those.
Yeah, there's a bestseller.
Every now and again, I'll have a look and see what other people have as their pictures for heart stud earrings. Is there something that really makes me jump out? If I was looking at that page, where's mine?
Yeah.
Is it down the bottom? Is it on that page? Is there a one that regularly comes up? And what's the difference between theirs and mine? So I'll have a look at that. But with my other work, which is very much inspired by Skip with Common, I want to stand out. I want to look a little bit different to other people. And again, I will sometimes just search some of the tags that I use or some of the things that I have as titles and see what else comes up and see what draws my attention so that I don't want to copy it, but I want to see what's different.
Yeah.
And what do I need to tweak? Does mine look better or worse? Are their pictures better? Have they got little videos? Because you can put videos on now. And like with anything social media or anything like that, we all love a good video, don't we?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Even if you the thing I've started to do is take a picture of the pendant, say, and turn it round.
Oh, nice.
And have a little video so you can see the back and the front. And it gives you a better idea of the dimensions of that particular piece. So I might even hold it against myself.
So people can actually see the size of it, yeah.
Yeah, you see it a bit better. Because sometimes, some of the pendants are quite small. And if you hold it near the camera, it looks big. Yeah. Actually, some people like really small. I like quite chunky. But it gives a better sense of perspective.
Yeah.
And
it also makes it feel a bit more like wearable, like you can imagine yourself wearing it because you can see the size of it and the way that it falls and the way that it looks. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So, but just keeping on top of, well, what are other people doing? And am I trailing behind? Oh, yeah. I haven't, some of my old listings don't have a video because I haven't gone through every single one of them. But my new ones, I incorporate a video in with them now. But it's just keeping on top of all of those things and standing out in some way. Make sure that your pictures are really clean and clear. Yeah. And you can put loads of pictures on and a video. So use those spaces.
Also, don't be scared of putting lots of images on.
Put loads. Yeah. I sometimes see people putting 5 of the same image. I'm thinking, why did you do that? Yeah. Because it really wasn't going to be a huge amount more effort to take them from a different angle. Or, it's like, why would you do that? But if you're going to do, any photography, take the time to do it and do it really well. Because the ones that have got a bit rubbish photography, they're not going to get any sales. That's just life. Yeah, we are very driven by pictures in social media and also online for buying. So that's the second one I would say is take your time, stand out from the crowd. Don't be afraid to stand out and be a bit different.
Yeah. I think that's
if your
true
product is the only one with a dark background.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's true in all
it'll
of
stand
business.
Out.
Yeah. Stand out, be different. Yeah.
Be different if need be. Yeah. Yeah. So I would say the other thing that I see quite a bit is that people, they've done all of that, but then they haven't written a bio about themselves on Etsy. And we all know people buy from people.
Yeah.
And
important.
They haven't even filled that in, or they've just put a picture of the cat or something as the profile picture. It's like, when I first started, I said I was quite shy. I'm afraid you've got to go out there and do it. You've got to put your face on things. People were buying in COVID and still do. They want to know about you as an independent artist, a handmade maker, a coach, whatever it is. They want to know about you. And hiding your light under a bushel is not going to get you anywhere. So that's the thing I found online. I could do that. And then I really struggled to write about myself in the third person. I got somebody else to write it,
Yeah,
just a
very
friend.
good. Yeah. Are they going to speak much more highly of you than you perhaps would of
Well,
yourself?
that's it. It was like, oh, I can't say that.
Yeah.
People think I'm bragging.
And nowadays we can use Chat GPT to do it as well.
We
To
can.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But, it can feel a bit icky. And it's a mindset thing, which is, you know, the sort of the world that you're in. Sometimes it's difficult for individuals to put themselves
Yeah.
out there. So, but your shop name doesn't have to be your
Your
name,
name.
like I say.
Yeah. And I love how that actually you came to the online world because you were that introvert and you didn't want to go out to a million different craft fairs. So you found an alternative way that was in complete
Yeah,
alignment with who you are and how you've
yeah,
chosen to show up in the world.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I find it quite interesting. A lot of people will be very surprised that I felt like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But
So there's
yeah,
three.
I did feel quite shy about it.
Yeah. 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 And I think for lots of people who like coaches like me, um, it, people, especially in our culture in the UK, we are not, it's not normal to be elevating yourself and talking about how amazing you are. But even, whether you have an Etsy store or you're writing yourself some copy or whatever you're doing, it's like we do need to go out there and tell people why they need to listen to us. And that's not like, you've got X qualifications on it's like, I will help you to do this. This is my zone of genius. I am amazing at this. And really like becoming confident and comfortable in standing in your power. And the more you do it, the
Mm.
more it becomes quite normal.
Absolutely. And now I am quite confident in it. But still, even now, every now and again, I'll go to I have somebody do some social media. Right, that bit.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a really great strategy, isn't it?
Scrapped it.
Anything that you know that you're going to hold yourself back from, but somebody else is not because it's not their business and they're just going to
Yeah,
want the best for Helen. Yeah, get somebody else to do it for you.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Helen, for that. I hope it's really helped people who've maybe had a go at Etsy and it's not quite worked out for them, or who has looked at Etsy or another similar platform and thought, actually, there are some things there. I mean, I've got, and again, I don't tell anybody this, I've got a course on Udemy, and it's an amazing course. And when you were saying, like, tell people it's there, go in and change it, put other products in there, I was like, okay, some work for me there as well. So that's really helpful. Thanks, Helen. And in terms of people, staying in contact with you and learning more about how they can have a highly profitable Etsy store, what's the best way for people to keep in contact with you, Helen?
Well, I've got a free download on 7 steps to boost your Etsy sales. So we can put the link to that in the show notes, and
Amazing.
then I've got they'll sign up to my mailing list, and we can keep in touch that way. But yeah, that's probably the best way, or search for my website, which is silver and stone or silver-stone jewellery.co.uk, which has got my courses for the studio in and my jewellery.
Amazing. Thank you, Helen. I will put all of the details of that down in the show notes. So just if anybody's wondering what show notes are, just click down below into the description of the podcast and you will see all of the information there. And for anybody who is running a business, who is looking to scale the business to consistent runs of 5K and beyond, I have an amazing business resource. It's actually brand new this week. You've just reminded me to tell people, Helen, is it's all about helping you to understand and pinpoint exactly how you can get more clients. So this resource is going to help you really quickly to identify those areas in your business that you perhaps need to pay a little bit more attention to or to become consistent in. So download that and figure out how you can become like highly profitable in your business. I'll put the link down in the show notes. Helen, it just leaves me to thank you for being here and for being an amazing guest and coming and talking to us about Etsy. I think it's such a fantastic opportunity for everybody, and you have provided lots of key insights. So thank you for that, Helen.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And for everybody else listening to the podcast, thank you for listening. And I look forward to bringing you another episode in the coming weeks. Bye for now.